Hello, how's it going? I'm just gonna cut straight to the chase. So, this is just gonna be a straight up read through with some minor comments here and there. So, I was gonna say this for later because I wanted to see if my audience would care at all, but now this is really only being made for my sake. So, I'll just go for each of the members one by one, starting with the one I least dislike, but I probably still should dislike, to I will probably kill them if I see them in public. That's hyperbole, but I'm pretty certain you get the idea. So, shit you have to know beforehand. This stuff took place over the course of a year. I do not have pictures because I never took any other than some DMs that I took now and also some comments that were made on my video. This doc will be pretty anger filled because I've been getting harassed by them recently. And I won't be using real names, and if I do, my bad. I won't be using real names since they haven't done anything like that. More specifically, they haven't doxed me or anything, which they very much can do because one of them does have my my address since they've been to my house. So starting off, we have no FPS guy or Boopski or I don't know, dude has 1,000 online names. Simply, I don't know. I'm pretty certain they're he, him, but I don't know. So this one's just pretty simple. He was just kind of a dick. Said some slurs in a video that I did a while ago. I don't remember where he says those slurs. I just know they were censored and it's a 30-minute video. But I know they're in there somewhere because I remember thinking it was really funny at the time. Alright. Then we have Mayrevix, who is she, her, and I know that for certain. And this is a massive fucking jump in level of dislike. I'm going from, I don't really like this person for reasons I barely got to see, to, I wish nothing but pain on you. So, where to start? Probably with allegation the first. They are a yes woman, which I'm only phrasing it like that to avoid any issues because I'm trying not to be viewed as transphobic here. But, no FPS guy is also a yes man, but not to this degree. So, any idea that Kaliburr had, she would be all over that shit, despite what I had to say if I had a disagreement about it. And a prime example of this, that I do have pics of, but they're buried underneath a billion fucking messages in an FNF mod group chat, and I'm way too lazy to find them, is when Kaliburr wanted a motif in a song of his, and I've made this extremely fucking clear to them several times that I cannot do motifs and I'm very bad at them and I cannot make it sound okay in a song. And he said, I don't care if it sounds ass, but I told him I did because this is my work still. It's my work for his thing, you know? I want it to sound good. But Mayrevix only saw it apparently as Rennie doesn't want to do motifs because he's a little piss baby. Even going as far as to tell me to shut up and do it, which I'm not gonna lie, that's definitely not exactly what was said, but I know it's something similar to a shut up and do it. And the reason why I feel like that is because of the second reason. They had really creepy feelings about Kaliburr. Or, at least had, because it hasn't come up, at all in, the last months or so. This year, I don't think it's been brought up once. So, this one's a little bit of a doozy. So, when Mayrevix transitioned, she admitted she had feelings for Kaliburr, who, and forgive me for not knowing all the details of this, okay? Because I wasn't even around when this was happening. I only heard this from, stories from other people in that group at the time. So, Kaliburr, who I think is 15 or 16 at this point, and I do not know how old Mayrevix is outside of maybe being an adult, which alone is already enough for me to not really like her. Because, okay, I was one of those people who was mad at Call Me Carson just for the pedophile claims on top of the everything else, and not just for the everything else. Alright, age difference don't matter to me. If you're 18 and you're dating unless you're 18 dating a 17-year-old, just get the fuck out. Okay, 19, 16, no. But then at some point they broke up for a reason I'll get into later, and she was furious from what I know. And at this point, my memory is definitely not exact at all. This is just at most a super duper abridged version. And she would message Kaliburr constantly, begging him to be with her again, even after she was like 21 and Kaliburr was 16 to 17, which is a 3 to 5 year age gap if you didn't know. Which, bruh. And she continues to defend this with Romeo and Juliet laws, which I should have had a picture of, but I deleted it because I'm fucking stupid. But just know that in the comments of my rumor video, she did definitely say that. Just take my word for it. And even though that is true, that does not make it okay, in my opinion. Because on the internet, you always fucking wait until someone's 18. Especially, I mean, I don't know if the age of consent is the same. But like, come on, dude. And then allegation the third. I'm straight up being harassed, and this is the entire reason why I'm making this document now instead of waiting for what my audience has to say. So when I posted my new rumor cover, Kaliburr and Maravix wanted to chime in with their opinions on the matter, and I told them to fuck off by deleting their comments and telling them to cry harder. And apparently they took the cry harder part too seriously, because they actually are crying harder now. And she has continued to defend Kaliburr relentlessly, which to be specific is against the transphobic claims I made in the description and the pinned comment of that video, which I will go into detail soon. And also now it's just saying real mean things. And I do have screenshots of these, thank God, because they're public. So, like, good job, Maravix. You really just made yourself look like an angel there, didn't you? And here are some pictures of me telling them to cry harder after I deleted their comments. Then I told her she dated a minor. Then I was like, haha, touch the nerve. I'm so poggers. Then she says, nah, I ain't crying. If anything, I'm glad you got your misery to be around all the time, because all of us had to walk on eggshells to keep you as a friend. In hindsight, it wasn't worth it. You could stay mad. And then I told her, hey, you know what else doesn't make you look good? Harassing me and my own mother, which I will get into soon. And then she claims I'm slandering them, which, no. And then I said, so I just hallucinated Kaliburr misgendering the bored artist and several others then. And remember I said several others. And I told my mom about this, and I'm sorry, okay, I know I'm pulling out the I told my mom and she agrees with me card, but still. I told my mom, and she said I was in the right, and they themselves, like the whole group I was in, pretty much said that my parents were pretty baller. And then she dead ass says, yeah, you were imagining it because the bored artist isn't trans. I told you this in the long ass message that I posted in this thread, which I deleted and didn't read at all because I'm not reading that shit, dude. I'm not reading a comment from someone who's defending a transphobe, dude. Like, come on. And, this is a bit of a logical leap, but from what I know, the excuse that she's likely referring to about the bored artist not being trans, is that, is literally the dead giveaway, for transphobia, which is the whole they're doing it for attention shit. Which, when I read it for the first time in that Discord server, I contemplated leaving then and there, because, first of all, why would you not tell me that in the first place whenever they left? And I don't answer that question because I know the answer, because you're lying out of your fucking ass and just coming up with excuses for transphobia, dude. That's not cool. And notice as well how she didn't even address the fact that I mentioned others in the wing of people that Kaliburr misgendered intentionally. And of course, the harassing my mom thing will come back at some point. So I told her in reply to her, what's it called? The comment about me being a poopy head. I said, not gonna lie, feels like this is cap since I did everything I could for you and your mod, and if you told me you didn't like something about me, I would have changed. But why stop lying now, I suppose? And then she says, because anytime, I just mean this is so fucking tiring. Anytime tried to help you see reason, you'd flip the fuck out. And then you left and slandered us. And then Kaliburr never said anything because he knew about your anger issues. They want you to unfairness, create another situation like what happened with the bored artist. And we present you with actual evidence. You decide to leave instead of thinking. None of us lied to you. None of us were ever dishonest with you in any way. And if I was, it was because I didn't know all the facts. I know it happened. I was there every second of it. And I didn't realize there was a read more. And then she brings up the fact that I always left VC when it was just me and her in it because I felt uncomfortable. And I told her this. I told her is because she is the oldest member of the group and I'm the youngest. And I am still, and especially nowadays, that a good call from me, okay? Because Mrs. dates a fucking 16-year-old here. No thank you. And I commented, I did tell you why I felt uncomfortable and there's nothing she can do to change that. And I told her that I was always raised to be on high alert, you know, of like pedos and shit. And then she brings up, you never bothered to try to change that mindset for someone who's your friend, which I literally said several times that I didn't trust Kaliburr for several fucking reasons that you apparently just conveniently forgot or something. And she says, by the time you left, Kaliburr was an adult. You had no problem hanging out with him until the day you decided to flip shit and leave. Which, when I get into the Kaliburr section, you'll know that is entirely false. I literally never fucking, I didn't ever fucking, like, just one day, I didn't just, like, hang out one day. I didn't just wake up and be like, you know what would be really funny? What if I just flip my shit into VC, or not VC, what if I flip my shit into text chat and just left everything? Because, no, there is a whole series of events that you're leaving out there, Mayor Vix, and, I'm not gonna lie, I have a sneaking suspicion it's because Kaliburr is entirely in the wrong there. So, first of all, on these claims, I didn't see reason because I was having a literal mental breakdown at the time, which is something I literally said, and I guess you all missed it. Because of the fact that my friend was lying to me several times, and for another reason that you'll find out later. With a clearer mind, I reject some things I said back then, but a majority of it I still stand by, which hopefully will be obvious what parts I'm talking about, the parts I don't stand by anymore, but... And second of all, Kaliburr was 18, and I was, how old, 14 maybe? When I met him. Do you not know how math works? I knew him when he was in school, dude. I knew him when he was in school, and I don't know shit about you other than that you're like 20-something years old. You look the way you do, you're trans, and you live in a state that I won't name for reasons. Which also reminds me I have to censor the name of that state I said earlier because I forgot I wasn't supposed to do that. And I also didn't even join VC when Kaliburr was there after some time because I started trusting him less and less for reasons that I'll again get onto later. I even joined VC alone with you on one occasion after Kaliburr had initially left because you're the only other person I had trusted at all. But apparently didn't mean anything because you had to step on eggshells apparently to avoid pissing me off, which sounds like cap, but whatever. And then third of all, and this is going to have some bleeding into some other sections, but if I don't address it right now, they're probably going to stop listening or reading or whatever and call me a liar or something. So, this evidence that you had, that you claimed you had, I should say, was something Kaliburr told me in VC. That was what you said. I remember that shit word for fucking word. You said, Kaliburr told me this thing in VC. And instead, the evidence that you provided was something that I would have no idea of knowing about in any way. And the first time I had learned it was on that day it was posted. And again, just to clarify, I had my mind set in stone when I heard you saying something that I knew was 100% false, and the thing that I conveniently forgot would be something I would forgive Kaliburr for entirely if it were true. I told you my issues several times and you never listened. I told you I didn't like he wasn't being transparent with his friends, and by that, I don't mean like sharing his fucking credit card number. I mean he literally wasn't telling me, oh guys, I think I might have anger issues or something. And the fact that he kept on lying to me and he wouldn't get therapy at all. And his reasons for not doing it, or rather just being unable to, are completely valid in retrospect. But the fact he never told me at all, despite apparently being a really close friend of his according to him, that is a huge betrayal of trust. You can't just not tell someone shit like that. And then combined with everything else he did, especially in that moment in time, the shit that he was doing, I was outie, man. I was gone. And then I started thinking about it more after I left, and I was like, dude, I've literally just been killing myself for no fucking reason for working for people who I fucking despise. Which, again, that is going to be elaborated on. And then finally, the grand one that'll take me the rest of the night to write. It didn't, but I like to imagine it did. Kaliburr, who I'm pretty sure is a guy. So, this part I'm going to get the most heated about simply because I just get so fucking mad thinking about the shit he did. So, first of all, this is a lot, the transphobia allegations, this one is way more cut and dry than you would think, judging by how Mayerovic's and everyone else, specifically his girlfriend, was defending him. He misgenders anyone who he does not like. This would include the bored artist, who I'm not going to act like you should like, because they did some pretty fucked up shit, okay? They cheated on their boyfriend for 6 months, and then dipped from the friend group. That was not cool. And also just the general compass of people that Kaliburr doesn't like. And if you want to get specific, Christine Weston Chandler, the Sonic 2 creator, is one of the peeps Kaliburr misgenders intentionally. And I checked with several people who are way more versed in what's transphobic and what's not, and they all said, that's not fucking cool, dude. And before anyone says it, I told him it wasn't cool, and he never fucking listened. And of course, just to add salt to the wound and squeeze some lemon on it too, can you guess the fucking defense that his friends used? I do it too. You... One word, bruh. And then a few more words after that would be, even if they severely wronged you, or they didn't even wrong you at all, and you just don't like them, you cannot misgender people ever. That's the law of the land. Everyone knows this shit, dude. It's like 1 + 1 = 2. It's so easy to understand. And then of course, yeah, this thing, which this part is not as cut and dry. It's more so just conspiracy theory type bullshit, but apparently Kaliburr had said some transphobic shiz towards Mayerovic's at some point when explaining why he didn't feel any connection toward her, which apparently was something about, and this is very fuzzy by the way, I don't remember shit about this, which is something about him not seeing her as a woman. And then if I remember correctly, I think he said it was because he's really stupid and phrased this shit wrong. But after all the shit he told me and that turned out to be completely false, I don't believe it for a fucking second, dude. Especially because he used terms like biofemale and artificial female, which, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I have no fucking idea if it's transphobic, but it feels like it would be. But after a lot of Googling, and trust me, I tried, man. I looked up, is biofemale transphobic? I looked at page 1 of Google, nothing, dude. I couldn't find a single page about that was even related to transgender terminology, and I couldn't even find if it was transphobic or not. So that one might not actually be transphobic. So allegation the second: this dude does not stop lying, which I won't lie, I'm pretty petty about this, which is I won't list all the petty lies here that I could list. But the most common one was that he would say he'd be back in a certain amount of time, but more often than not, he would be back way fucking later, like 20 minutes later than he said he would. But then to cover the more serious lies, he told me, for one, he's not transphobic, which see above as for why he is. And then he told me he was getting therapy when in reality he couldn't get any, which this one pisses me off especially because I thought at first it was because he could, but he just didn't, because I don't fucking know. But then it turns out he had extremely valid reasons for why he couldn't, and he never fucking told me. And again, I already mentioned that is a huge betrayal of trust. You can't just not trust people when you say you can't just not trust people with the fact that you can't get therapy. Like, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna go, hey, this motherfucker can't get therapy. Hey, let's laugh at him. Let's laugh at him. Like, shut up, dude. That's not what I would fucking do. And then, if I'm remembering correctly, he apparently lied to his girlfriend about if he had been with anyone prior. Or, again, I assume anyway, since I do know at the very least, he didn't tell her about Marovix or the fact that at some point, I think he was planning to move to her state to live with her, which I presume is just as friends, but to be honest, that sounds like grooming. Like too much like grooming to me. You got a grown adult convincing a right now minor to meet up in person whenever they're an adult. Like, isn't that grooming? Like, I feel like I'm tripping. Okay. And then finally on the serious slice, he told me he doesn't view me as anything less than a best friend, or just at least a very good one, because my memory is very shit. And I obviously can't prove if that's a lie, but the circumstances have led me to believe this is a lie, and I have some pics because it's in DMs, and that shit lasts forever. So, this shit's really fucking blurry, so you have to give me a second to read it. So, I sent a screenshot of something he said in a big apology. And the thing that he said was, I don't know what you're saying. I don't know how pissed off you are. And I said, Cap, your girlfriend sent screenshots of you seeing what I was saying. And then he says, nah, I've gotten maybe 2 or 3, but not enough to tell what's going on. And then I said, so let me get this straight. You just lied to me again, knowing full well I'm pissed off at you because you keep lying. And again, remember, I'm still in like mental breakdown mode. I know it's not technically lying, but you said something you knew was false to my face and acted like it was the truth. The truth would have been to say, I don't know how you feel because I've only gotten 3 screenshots of the server after I left. And then he says, I agree with you on that. I should be better with my words. But when my head's in, I can't remember, 16 different places at once, I'm literally shaking. Man, this shit is super blurry. In a hot as fuck room. And I have a... Fuck, okay, I cannot remember what the hell that says. I have a heater. Something. Feeling the worst. Something. Fearing you might just straight up leave everything. Causing the rest of us to cancel Pog Squad. And left with the... Damn, this shit is so blurry. Okay, well, the point is, he says that he's worried that they're gonna have to cancel Pog Squad if I leave. And then I tell him, how come you mentioned the possible cancellation of Pog Squad before losing a friend? Is that all I am to you? Just a member of Pog Squad? Then he backtracks and says, of course not. It's almost been a year since you joined the group and you much more to me to some musician in charter. Pog Squad's representation of us, not just funny beep boop game. It's a passion project we're doing as a group. I was planning to get better at art and do something. And then I said, how come you're still talking about Pog Squad knowing full well I'm this close to leading everything because you sound like you only care about Pog Squad? And then, this shit's really blurred, but hold on. Do you really think I care about a stupid project over my friend? You have been something. I cannot fucking read it. But point is, I think he says something about he'll cancel Pog Squad. But then, here's the issue. Notice how he only talked about Pog Squad until I pointed it out to him that he was only talking about Pog Squad. And then he started going on about how good a pal I am after I called him out on this bullshit. And to put it in more blatant terms, he's tried to guilt trip me with the thought of canceling Pog Squad. And then when that didn't work, he tried to guilt trip me with you're my best friend, even contradicting himself, saying he would cancel Pog Squad himself if it meant I would remain his friend. Which I shouldn't have to tell you is a contradiction on the fact that he was worried that me leaving would cause them to cancel Pog Squad. But now he's saying he'll cancel Pog Squad to have me return. So, which is it? And then for less serious lies, and by lie, I mean lie, he told me he watches my videos when he doesn't, because every time I posted an ins cover as an audio file, which as far as I remember, the only time I really did ins covers was for songs I already recharted and posted to my YouTube channel. He always asked what it was, and he even assumed it was an original sometimes. And then, the third allegation, he defends really not nice people, which is, to be more specific, his racist family, which mostly referring to his father and brother. I've heard his mother is pretty cool. And another example I'll get into soon. So this one's just self-explanatory. The one time me and everyone else in the group seemed to be on the same page, since we all agreed his family sucks ass, and him saying they don't when they overwork him to the point where he can't even like do shit like with us whenever like we're all like, hey, we're all in VC, and he's like, oh, I can't join, I'm too tired. And his brother harasses him with racist bullshit. And he even tried to indoctrinate him into being racist by sending him DMs of black people being murdered while white people are being racist as fuck. And the fact he still defends that is really fucking stupid. And I'm not gonna lie, this is one claim where I do believe it is caused by stupidity and not actual malicious intent. The one example I was teasing earlier when I showed him was when I showed him a dark humor TikTok that was actually just transphobia. I think it was an example of TikTok in Curtis Connor's video about dark humor on TikTok. And when I asked him if he thought it was funny, he said yes. And when I asked him for an explanation, he kept trying to pull shit out of his ass, and I kept shutting it down with things I knew he couldn't rebuke in any way. Which, specifically, I'm talking about the whole example Curtis Conner also used in his video where he talks about if he made a TikTok smiling at dogs and doing a thumbs up, then he thumbs down, frowning at cats, you would assume he likes dogs and he doesn't like cats. And the dude doing that for trans people would mean he's transphobic. But after he just would not stop, I just gave up and just decided to move on from that, since I'm very bad at making friends, right? And if I had to resort to making friends with a person who actually thinks that transphobic garbage is funny, then I very well would have. But nowadays, I'm cracking down on that shit. So, if I see any transphobic shit in someone's Discord status, they're getting unfriended. I personally don't think he's actually racist, but the fact he's willing to apologize for them is really gross. And then allegation the fourth. I was overworked. So fucking bad. So, I won't lie, this allegation is more so my fault than his, but he never told me to take a break if I felt like it, that I can remember anyway, and he even sometimes encouraged me to work harder. When working on Pog Squad, I busted my ass learning music theory and making and remaking songs, of which I made only like 5 actual songs. But really, it was more like 15 songs of how many times I remade them, and they all took me like a day, including the really bad ones that I don't like anymore. And in that process, I super neglected my mental health and physical health. I don't remember exactly when this happened, but I got depression, and I got diagnosed as dehydrated in my depression diagnosis. But never once do I remember anyone in that group telling me to take a break for myself. I only took a break when I had realized I'd reached burnout and couldn't think of anything relating to songs. And not when I destroyed my sleep schedule to VC with them and have some advice on the song from Kaliburr, of which was barely helpful. I only used 1 or 2 things that he said, and I had modified them a fair amount. And of course, by telling me to work harder, I'm referring to the incident on that first allegation at Mayorvix where Kaliburr wanted a motif. I told him no because I suck at those and I want the song to sound good. He pressured me to add it, and only by saying I was going to leave did he start backing off. But even after that, he kept trying to get me to add motifs. Specifically, on his second song, he wanted me to add a motif to, what's it called? Meta Runner Season 1. And an allegation the fifth, he's just kind of an asshole. This one is so fucking stupid, and is what set me on the path to realizing I shouldn't be friends with this guy, as well as contributing to that mental breakdown I talked about earlier. So at some point in around September or November of this year, Kaliburr decided it would be super fucking funny if he kept telling us to kill ourselves, like in VC, in text chat, anywhere. And he was doing this because I believe he was doing this. I believe he was doing this because I was doing it. And before anyone gets on my case, I'm 15. I'm not even old enough to drive yet, dude. I'm not even old enough to go to college. I'm not old enough to do anything that an adult can do. The only thing I can do is stay home by myself. That's like it. That's the only thing. And even then, it's not even for like forever. I can only stay home by myself for like a day at most. And I've also since learned from those mistakes. Meanwhile, Kaliburr is an adult. And he's also a role model for me in technicality terms, because like he's older, which would mean I'd look up to him and be like, wow, I want to be like him or some shit, you know? By him doing that, it led to me doing it more often because I thought he found it funny. And remember, if I'm willing to work myself half to death in order to fucking make an FNF mod for him, I'm pretty certain I would be saying kill yourself because I think he finds it funny. But then, after a while, he got really easily pissed off. Like, extremely concerning levels of rage at a moment's notice. To the point where he busted his finger open and it was bleeding because he was slamming his desk out of rage because I was kicking his booty in DBFZ. And this was something he kept hidden from his girlfriend, by the way. Also known as the one person he's supposed to be extremely transparent with. But, according to him, he was just joking. Which I did not buy at all, because every time he told me to kill myself, it was with a tone that was just filled with rage. Which is something even me and Mayor Vix agree on. And if I may remind you, this girl dick rides the shit out of Kaliburr. And this culminated with Kaliburr telling me to kill myself in a rather mean way in text chat that I've completely forgotten by now. I just know it was rather mean. And when I told him it wasn't funny to kill myself, or when I told him it wasn't funny for him to tell me to kill myself, he asked me why. And I told him I was going to bed because I'm not going to explain to an 18-year-old who is 5 years older than me why telling someone to kill themselves isn't funny. And then thankfully, everyone though was like, dude, it's not cool to say kill yourself. And we even made a rule saying don't tell people to kill themselves. And I wasn't mad at him or anything, since I still believed he was just not very smart and lacked social skills. But now I just believe he's an asshole, so I was willing to live and let go at the time. But then he left the Discord server. And you have to look at this from my angle, because apparently no one else in the server did, and I bet your ass, if they see this video, they'll be commenting like, blah, 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 and missing the whole fucking point of what I'm saying. This adult, who is supposed to be smarter and wiser than me, has left a Discord server after we tell him it's not funny to tell us to kill ourselves. From the way I saw it, and from what started my lead into a mental breakdown, was Kaliburr left because he's a piss baby about not being able to tell us to kill ourselves. I was furious, and I called attention to it immediately. This resulted in some arguing I don't remember too well, like continuing on until I left the next day. I think it was the next day. It might have been like a week. I don't know, it definitely wasn't the next day. It was like a whole week. But that ensuing argument in question that had caused me to leave was because since I was convinced that Kaliburr was acting out of malicious intent and not stupidity, I had gotten really bothered by the fact he was posting shit he said to a channel we had called Quotes, where we as friends compiled things the rest of us said we thought was really funny. And the part that rubbed me the wrong way especially was that it was his own quotes and it was of him looking cool in some way while I was pissed the fuck off at him. And again, I don't see it as Kaliburr acting stupid. I have my reasons that he's acting maliciously, and those reasons are obviously above. Because every time, just so we're clear, every time he's lied to me, it always seems like it's for a benefit of his own. Because apparently the reason why he lied to me and didn't tell me that he couldn't get therapy was because he didn't want me to leave, because he thought I was going to freak out or something. Which, why would that be a concern that I might leave over that of all things? And second of all, if I left, wouldn't that mean Pod Squad would get canceled? You know, just something to think about. And also, every time he's lied to his girlfriend about not wanting the VC, and then he VCs with someone else, that's also to his benefit, arguably, because he doesn't want to talk with his girlfriend, and if he just lies to her, then she won't talk to him. And etc., etc. You get what I mean? And then, of course, bonus allegations. They harassed my mom, basically saying he's not transphobic. Which, again, can you hear something to say? And then when I admitted I was having a mental breakdown, they ignored it. And of course, to clarify, my words are along the lines of, because I'm having a mental breakdown or something and I can't think at all. And again, of course, I don't remember the exact word I said. I just know I definitely said, because I'm having a mental breakdown or something. And I don't know. I guess they ignored it, or they couldn't read when it benefits them, because whatever. And then, of course, they hurt my feelings, which you can see the whole harassment coming for what I mean. Because, claiming that I was a piece of shit and that they had to try not to trigger me the entire time I was in that group. First of all, did you really just admit you would rather not have friends than not have to dance around stuff? Like, if I'm friends with like I don't know my religion at all, so I apologize. If I'm friends with someone who has like a religion who can't eat pork, and then I don't know that at the time, and I'm like, hey dude, you want some pork? And he's like, oh, I can't eat that, it's against my religion. And instead of being like, you're telling me that instead of being like, oh my bad, and not offering him pork again, you're telling me you would rather be like, what are you, some kind of fucking liberal pussy who gets triggered at the smallest thing, man? Whoa. Is that really what you would do? Because I'm not gonna lie, I don't think that's what it is. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I just hope they all kind of die in a fire or something.